Welcome to your postpartum reconnection yoga class. I am so happy to see you here as we embark on our journey, our return back to movement. So the important thing that I want you to remember for this class is to take it easy. This may be the class that is your step back into movement. You might have baby joining you, so I understand that this practice is going to look a little bit different compared to pre-baby and pre-pregnancy yoga classes. What we are going to do today is the reconnection phase. You may want to wait until your 6-week mark where you get your clearance from your doctor. You may be joining this a couple of weeks after your 6-week checkup. You may even feel the urge to move a little bit sooner, maybe a couple of weeks postpartum. So depending on your recovery, your body, the birth that you had, I don't want to add a specific week postpartum recommendation onto this because it's going to be different for everyone. So once you get to that point where you are starting to look at reintroducing movement, your body's recovered, you're feeling fine, you've given your body time to rest, which is important, this is going to be the class to start with. So we aren't going to need any props. You are just going to need you and your mat just for a short practice here. And we are going to get started lying on our back. So let's come into a nice lying position. We'll start with our feet about hip width apart, maybe even a little bit wider. Let the knees knock in together. And when you get here, let's bring our hands onto our rib cage. So during pregnancy, we had hands to belly quite a lot, but for now, let's bring hands to the rib cage. Let the shoulders soften down, close the eyes. And just take a moment to check in here with how the body's feeling. You might notice what your energy levels are like. Maybe you've had a bit of a tricky night's rest, or you're adapting to these new nightly routines, new sleeping routines, new demands. So be gentle with yourself as we return to a bit of movement. This is a new body, a new experience, and a new chance to explore sort of this new phase. So just going into it with open arms, welcoming any new sensation. And with a hand on the rib cage, let's start with some kind of that big diaphragm breath. So I want you to visualize with your hands or your diaphragm that runs just underneath the rib cage, and your hands are on the rib cage. As we breathe in, I want you to feel that you're breathing into the palms, and your palms are moving upwards, outwards, almost like a nice full 360-degree breath. And exhale to soften down. And this is quite different from all the belly breathing we did during pregnancy. And our diaphragm moves quite a bit. It lifts up during pregnancy to make space for baby. And as we head through this postpartum phase, it starts to descend once again. So returning back to those diaphragm breaths, noticing any new sensations and how our breath feels. And this class is all about reconnecting. Continue your breaths, reconnecting to our breath, reconnecting to core and pelvic floor as we'll do now. And just taking it easy on the body. Let's do 3 more breaths here. And these are great to do at any time during the day, even when you're relaxing on the couch or lying in bed. Just some nice deep breaths. Last one here. And then we'll slide our hands down to our core, which is going to feel a little bit different now. Obviously, the core muscles have been stretched quite significantly in pregnancy. And so in this section, we're going to do a bit of core reconnection. So we're going to start with our hands on our abdominals. And it's going to take time for our core just to reconnect back to what it was. And we're going to do what we call like core knitting. So I want you to visualize your core muscles. We're going to take a deep breath into the belly. And as you breathe out, a slight activation into the core. Almost imagine you're knitting the left abdominals to the right abdominals, drawing them towards the midline. Trying not to think of a crunch. You're not squeezing too hard into the core muscles. You just imagine a gentle traction towards one another. Breathing in. Fill the belly, relax the muscles. Exhale, core draws in towards one another. It's a very subtle movement. Let's do 5 more here. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Keep going. Deep breath in. And core draws towards each other. We're going to do 3 more. Last 2. And 1 more. And you can repeat these 2 exercises, the breath work, the core, and the pelvic floor. I guess the 3 exercises, releasing there. A couple of times during the day, because it's really nice. We're lying down, we're just reconnecting. So maybe first thing in the morning or in the evening before bed, this is kind of movement you can do in your nighttime routine. And you can see, very subtle, just reconnecting back to the body. From here, we're going to move down from our core into our pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor, we're going to work on activations here. So you want to imagine you're almost drawing your pelvic floor in and up, kind of that feeling as if you need to go for a wee, but you're holding it in. And we're going to take a deep breath in. As we exhale, draw that pelvic floor in, and then on the exhale, release it once again. Okay, so we're going to take a nice breath in. And as you exhale, drawing, activating through that pelvic floor. Inhale, release. Exhale, pelvic floor connection. We'll do 4 more, breathing in, releasing that pelvic floor fully in between the sets. Exhale, drawing and activating that pelvic floor. Working on our strengthening here. Let's do 3 more. And drawing it in on the exhale. Last 2. And exhale. And the last one. Good, releasing. And we'll bring the 2 together. So we're going to try and bring in the pelvic floor with the core. Now, this is a lot to focus on. So if that's too much for you right now, choose one or the other to focus on, and you can even alternate as we move through it. We're going to do 8 in total. So the breath in. So we can actually think about the breath in being a nice full deep ready breath. On the exhale, it's going to be core knits in, pelvic floor squeezes in. All right, let's see if we can go. It's tricky. It's reconnection once again. So I want to say that because it's not going to feel like maybe you get it every single time. Our body is still recovering. We may feel, depending on the birth that you've had, if you've had a natural birth, maybe you're still easing into that pelvic floor because the pelvic floor has played a very important role in the delivery of your baby. If you had a C-section like I did, we start to feel a little bit more into the abdomen and a bit more separation through that core. So depending on the birth that you've had, you may notice the body experiencing this very differently. You might have a completely different experience than what I've just mentioned. So just let yourself ease back into it. So let's bring our hands onto our core, and we're going for 8 rounds here. So breathing in, expanding into the belly. As you breathe out, core draws towards one another, pelvic floor squeezes in. Good, inhale. Release the pelvic floor. Exhale, squeezing in. And as I say squeezing in, it's a very gentle squeeze. Think about like 50 to 60%. We're not trying to do too much. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Number 4. And exhale. 4 more. 3. Last 2. Well done. Last one. And gently release. You can take your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, maybe towards the edges of the mat, and start moving the knees from side to side. So finding your windshield wipers. If this feels like a difficult movement for your pelvic floor, maybe you've got stitches, it could even be your C-section scar that feels a little bit tender, just make the movement a little bit smaller. So don't drop the knees over to the side. You're just finding a little bit of movement there. Right. So you're going to grade your movements as kind of depending on where you're on your postpartum journey. So at the time of recording this, I'm about 5.5 weeks. I'm just out of that 6-week mark. So a lot of the body has kind of moved through most of its recovery. So just checking in, depending on where you're at, might be a bit different. And bring it back through to center. From here, we're going to move into a side lying position. So you can just roll over onto one side, maybe even just using your bottom elbow to support. You can either lie on the hand or you can just lie all the way down. It depends on you. And in our side lying position, we're going to find that reconnection to the diaphragm once again. So you're going to bring your top hand onto your rib cage. You can lift the elbow up or raise the hand down, just whatever feels most comfortable. And then from here, once again, we're going to focus just on the upper side. So depending on what side you're lying on. And then we're going to find a nice deep breath in, expanding through that side. And as you exhale, let that hand drop down. Let's do 5 more breaths here. Breath in. And breath out. Last 4. And just feeling that full breath into the side. Last 2. And the last one. And then releasing that top hand, you're going to slide it down towards the hip, bending into that top knee. See if you can grab a hold of the foot. Now, depending on how you are recovering, you don't have to kick back. I want you to just hold onto the foot. Just get a gentle stretch with the front of the quads. We're not looking for too much of a back bend here. You might just find you pushing your hips forward, drawing the knee back. And for me, my knee is in line with my hip, and I'm just getting a bit of a stretch to the front of my quads. So postpartum, you might be doing a lot more sitting than what you used to. We're not as generally as active because we're giving our body time to rest, so the front of the body can get quite stiff. So just taking it nice and easy here for 2 more breaths. And then releasing that knee all the way back down. Slide that bottom hand down onto the floor. The head can relax down onto the mat. Palms are going to be together. And then from here, this top arm is going to open up. You can cactus into the arm and just move as far as what feels comfortable for the body, especially for the abdominals and for the chest. And as you exhale, slide that hand all the way back down. Let's do 3 more. Open it up. So in those first few weeks postpartum, we're carrying baby a lot. You may be breastfeeding. Even if you are bottle feeding, our upper body's working really hard, getting babies into nice positions, holding them, rocking them. So the upper body can get nice and stiff. So just finding some rotation here. And you're going to grade your twist. If it feels a bit tricky for the front of the body, don't go as far. And then 1 more, opening it up, holding it there. Keep the cactus in the arm. We're going to reach that arm up overhead. And then as you exhale, cactus that arm back down, stretching through the pecs. 2 more, opening or lifting it all the way back up. And bringing it back down. Last one, all the way back up. And bringing it back down. Closing it all the way off. Push into that top hand. Bring yourself all the way up through seated. Swing the legs over to the other side, and we'll move on to the second side. Good. So coming to lie down, supporting your body. Top hand comes onto the rib cage or onto the diaphragm. Knees can stay bent. And we'll take a nice deep breath in to that left side, or rather that top side if you've done the left side first. And exhale, release down. Good. Keep going here. Feeling that expansion into the top side. Focusing on one side at a time. We got 4 more. Last 2. And the last one. Good. We're going to release that top hand, bending into that top knee, coming into a gentle quad stretch. So generally, when we do this in yoga, we'd sometimes kick back a bit. So like I said on that first side, just a very gentle stretch. You may not even be able to reach your quad, in which case you can release that foot down, maybe just working towards it. You can hold on to your hamstring or your knee. Well, your knee's a bit far, but your quad. So you can hold on wherever you feel you can, or just skip this out if it doesn't feel good, which is kind of the whole theme of this class. Skip it out if it doesn't feel good. And I guess the other theme is take it easy. Let's release that top knee down. Hands are going to connect in front of the body. Relax the head down. And that top arm opens up. Cactus it open into a supine twist. And closing it back off. Good. 2 more. Opening up. And closing it off. Last one, opening it up, holding it there, keep the cactus in the arms, and then we'll extend that arm up overhead and cactus it back. 2 more, lifting it up and drawing it back down. Last one, lifting up and drawing it all the way back down, closing that top arm towards the bottom arm. Let it push you all the way back up. And we'll make our way onto our hands and our knees. So take it easy in getting there. We're going to just bring the palms down onto the floor. Knees are going to be about hip width apart. And just take a moment here to feel through this all fours position. So we're going to move through cat and cow from here. And I want you to keep checking in. If you feel, whether you've had a vaginal or C-section birth, I want you to think if you feel any pulling or discomfort, to rather stop the movement or do less, take it back. You can come into a child's pose. So we don't want to feel any major discomfort. So take it nice and easy in this movement. Maybe that means doing a little bit less than what you used to. So from the all fours, find a nice inhale, gently release the belly down. And as you exhale, you're going to kind of start with a hugging of that core in. So feeling like a little baby hug, you're drawing belly to spine, and then push into the hands and round into your cat stretch. So we did those baby hugs during pregnancy as a core exercise. So now obviously without the load of baby, we get to notice what that feels like. Inhale, moving into your cow pose, soften through the belly, just as far as what feels fine. And then as you exhale, hug that core in, almost like you're drawing it to the spine. Push into the hands, round into the upper back. Good. We're going to do 4 more here. Inhale. And exhale. Keep moving with the rhythm of your breath. So you may be moving slightly faster, slightly slower than me. And exhale. Good. Last 2. And 1 more. Returning to a nice neutral spine. We're going to do the same thing now with the baby hugs, just taking out the cat and cow. So you're going to keep a nice neutral spine. As you inhale, soften the belly down. As you exhale, hug the belly in. I'll put my hand on my belly so you can kind of see. Inhale. Exhale. Good. 3 more like that. Deep breath in. And exhale. And these are really gentle core exercises. Once again, if it feels like any discomfort or any, I would say like any pulling or any pain, obviously stopping the activity. Exhale, drawing it in. Last one. And exhale. Good. Slowly sending the hips back down towards the heels. You can part the knees slightly and coming into your child's pose. Now, once again, this pose can be quite a big stretch through the pelvic floor, and it also adds a bit of compression around where a C-section scar may be. So if you need to be a little bit more upright, tuck the toes and then just send the hips back. Okay, you don't have to go down very far. You can stay up on your hands. You can be down onto your elbows. So feel what it's like to return to these movements. These are new sensations now. So sometimes it means backing off a little bit, going a little bit further, feel what it's like, and then meet yourself where you're at today. You might come back to this class in a week or two again, and you're going to have a completely different experience. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then bringing yourself all the way up onto our hands and our knees, and we're going to move into a thread the needle. So we'll start by taking our left arm up, give a nice stretch up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, left arm threads underneath the right. Let that shoulder relax down. And we'll take 3 breaths here. Pushing through your right hand, let's reach that left arm up once again. And then that left hand comes down onto the floor, swapping it out, right arm up. Exhale, threading that right arm through, relaxing that shoulder down, taking 3 breaths here. And bring yourself all the way back up onto your hands and your knees here. Now you've got an option. You can head back into that sort of crouching or child's pose position. If you feel fine to do a downward facing dog, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, and you can take a nice what we call lazy down dog here. Bend the knees, soften to the shoulders, and sway the hips from side to side. And then bringing the knees all the way back down onto the floor, and we'll roll around coming down into seated. Hands are going to come onto the knees, sitting with the legs crossed out in front of you, keeping the hands on the knees, and we'll just find a gentle circular motion here. So just rolling onto one side and bring it back through to the center. So once again, this is working a bit through our core. We've kind of taken the body off balance and off center. And also as we move forward, once again, you might have a bit of sensitivity still around the abdomen. So you're going to start with smaller movements, and then as the body eases into it, you can create slightly larger movements. Let's do 2 more this way around. And then swapping direction. Do 2 more circles. And bring the body all the way back up, finishing off the class just with some stretches here. So let's take that right hand down, left arm reaches up and over into a nice side bend. You can take that top arm behind the head And just open up the shoulder, looking up towards the ceiling. Bringing it up, left hand down, right arm up and over. Bring the right hand behind the head and opening that shoulder up. Bringing it all the way back up. Step the feet onto the mat as if we're going to do windshield wipers. We'll drop both knees over to that left side. Taking the hands just onto that front shin or ahead and walking your hands slightly forward, just into a hip stretch. So this is deer pose. And I noticed for myself postpartum, just with the rest and recovering, a lot of my stiffness was centered around my hips and my upper body. So the hips from sitting and lying, and spending more time on the couch, which was lovely. Time to connect with baby and just to take it easy. So this was one of my favorite stretches to do. And also stretches for the upper body, like I said earlier, if you've been breastfeeding or even bottle feeding, or if you have just been holding and carrying and rocking your baby. Lots of work for the shoulders. Bring the hands all the way up. Let's take the legs over to the second side. Hands are going to be above the shin or just ahead and walking it forward. Bring the hands all the way up. And then let's return back to a cross-legged seat, maybe changing the other shin in front. And for this one, we're going to bring the left hand onto the heart, right hand onto the belly, maybe even a little bit higher onto the rib cage if you want to. Just feeling out wherever your hand rests most naturally. And then just find a nice softening into the shoulders and just connecting the breath to your heart space. And just know your body has done so much work over the last couple of months in building, creating a whole baby, a whole new human, moving through the birthing process and through the recovery that followed. And now in this reintroduction to movement or to your practice. So take a moment to send gratitude to your body for all that it's done. And we'll take another 5 breaths here. And then letting your hands rest down into your lap. If you have more time and you would like to take a shavasana, coming down onto your back and just spending more time in silence and stillness, maybe just returning to your breath work. If you've run out of time and you're happy to end the class here with me, let's bring our hands through to heart center. Just connecting thumbs to the front of your chest. And once again, just sinking this in with a moment of gratitude. And when you're ready to open your eyes, bringing your awareness back. And thank you so much for joining me.